Hi, everybody. I'm John Self. Thanks for joining us for Career Live. It's a little after 3:30 on Thursday afternoon. We're glad you joined us. Will be here on a regular basis from now on at 3:30 on Thursday afternoon. If there are other times that fit your schedule better, let us know. We'll be happy to try to accommodate you. Today, we're going to talk about two things. Number one is getting out of your comfort zone. More good quality candidates have died, their careers have suffered because they couldn't get out of their comfort zone. They couldn't do what it takes to really be creative, innovative, and managing your brand and marketing your brand. Why? Because they're just not comfortable. That's number one. Second, we're going to talk about that nasty little subject called recession and possible layoffs. There's some very, very disturbing financial news this week, and we want to share that with you. We're not going to focus too much on the technical aspects of why we think a recession is coming. We'll give you the primary indicator and then talk about ways that you can manage your career through this recession. So let's start off with what the heck is your comfort zone? Well, simply put, that zone is the zone in which you do not feel compelled to reach new heights. You're comfortable. I got a good salary, I got a nice car, I got a partner, spouse who has a good job. I don't need to worry. I'm comfortable. If I take on any responsibilities or if I push for any advancement in the company, I'm just not comfortable selling myself. And what you're really saying, I cannot, I do not want to, I do not feel comfortable. Now, when you say these or think you're making yourself seem weak. Now, I'm not critical or beating anybody over the head or feel bad. But listen, in this environment, when you make yourself weak, you help yourself fail worse. You do not achieve potential. You let yourself down, let your family down, your employer down. Here's why I'm saying all of this. We've entered into new job market environment. The paradigm really shifted. Back in the day when I first got started, which was 2 years ago, it was all pretty much a process. It was all about human relationships. It was about who you knew and recruiters and corporations, that sort of thing. And a lot of organizations use outside search firms to do their work for them. Well, this is all changing because of automation, because of artificial intelligence, and so now it's not about who you know, it's what you know. And in the future, as automation extends to not just screening, but sourcing. Your social media profile, it is your social media brand. It's going to make a big difference. Okay. So let's kind of pick up and why is this all important to you? Why if you've got a nice job, if you've got a nice car, if you've got a nice home, and you and your partner, you and your spouse are doing well, why do you need divorce? Well, first of all, technology and automation are dramatically changing the traditional career management norms. Okay, you're not going to be in a position where you depend on people. For your first interview, you're going to be interviewed by computer code. That will increasingly play a critical role in identifying and selecting managers and executives for career jobs, the better jobs. Secondly, recessions, layoffs, and industry consolidation are tightening up, and the better jobs are going to be harder to come by. There was a great communications job that came open earlier this month, and within 9 minutes, 200 people had applied. 9 minutes, 200 people. And that's not uncommon with online applications. It's not just a local job market anymore, it's a global job market. And so in order for you to be competitive, you can't sit back and just assume that somebody's going to see your resume and that somehow it's going to get through all the scanning and that somehow you're going to be okay and that you can find the job you want. You just don't have to worry, and so you can stay in your comfort zone. Then that is just not true anymore. Consolidation is really changing things. Automation is changing things. It is producing a perfect storm for job search. Okay, so what does this mean for your career? You're going to have to be more aggressive, much more aggressive at building your strategic network. That's that group of people who can help you get introduced to an organization. You cannot depend on just say, well, I'll apply online, and then if they don't accept me, then I don't have to deal with somebody saying no. Well, guess what your odds are when you rely on online submissions for most jobs? about 150 to 1. Even if you have somebody introducing you through the side door to the decision maker, your odds only improve to about 16 to 1. And you and I would not go to the horse track, even if we were dead bang drunk, and bet on a 16 to 1 odds horse. We wouldn't do it. It's just not good. It's not good use of money. Well, that's what the best odds you're going to get looking for a job. You're going to have to be more focused on building your strategic network. We call it networking 3.0, because it's not just meeting people you work with and people you like. Those people are probably not going to be able to help you when you start looking for a new job. Your friends from college, they may know some stuff, but 7 times out of 10, you're going to have people who are connected with organizations where you would like to work. That's called strategic networking. That's networking 3.0. You have to build a network based on a career plan, based on a plan that if I lose my great, comfortable job, these are the 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 companies I'd like to work for in the future. And these are people who know people in those organizations. And this is where LinkedIn comes in, because LinkedIn shows you connections. And so you can pick people you want to connect with who can help you with your job search. Now, I have people say, but every year I go to this association or that association, and I go to regional meetings, and we have cocktail receptions, and I meet people, and we stand around. Generally, if you go to those receptions, let me tell you what you're going to find. What people tell you notwithstanding, people stand around with the people they went to school with, people they worked with in the past, and people they know. They're not doing anything to meet new people. And again, that group of people you feel comfortable with, that's your comfort zone. And they're more than likely not going to be the people who can help you. So you have to constantly keep adjusting who is in your network based on where your next job you want it to be. If your spouse is thinking about taking on a new job someplace else, then you need to start building a network that can help you in that new community. That is strategic networking. And brother, I know that's going to drive some people in their comfort zone crazy. But that's the way it will be in the future. It's not going to be pretty for those of you who do not like making new friends. You're going to have to be more adept at promoting yourself online and on-demand interactions with humans, recruiters and hiring managers. Okay, you're the CEO of you. You're the brand manager of you. So why are you going to have to be more aggressive at building your brand? Well, right now, most of the automation in the job hiring process is really confined to scanning the resume. You submit your resume for a job you see online that you like, you think you're qualified for, so you fill out all the paperwork, and some of it can be just damn nuisance because they're asking for repetitive stuff, and they put you through all these hoops, and then if you don't get a good scan score, you never hear. And you're going to be asking yourself, why the hell did I go through all this work not to hear anything? They didn't even acknowledge I submitted anything. And did the system work? Well, let me tell you what's happening. The next generation of scanners are now going to be scanning out in the market. You're going to be looking at people who are who have profiles. They're going to look at your LinkedIn profile. They're going to look at your Instagram profile or your Facebook profile. They're going to be looking for people who have the experience. Now, primarily, they're going to be looking at at LinkedIn because that's really the professional networking site. And 98% of corporate recruiters spend some time every week on LinkedIn. They're going to be looking at that profile for people who might fit within the selection criteria that they've established. Within a matter of minutes, that computer can scan those profiles and come back with hundreds and hundreds of potential applicants. And then in automation, you'll get a very customized note on LinkedIn InMail asking you if you'd be interested in the job. Then if you submit, and you must submit a customized resume for that job or you're wasting your time, but even when you submit your resume, you'll have to do it online. So that's why I say you will have to continue to customize your resume. And you must keep your LinkedIn profile up to date with a great picture and keep providing new quantifiable achievements, information about your successes. That's how you're going to get selected in the future. You're going to have to sell yourself at multiple levels. Your comfort zone was your safe zone. Now it is your dangerous place, because if you stay in your safe zone, you're not going to hear about jobs. And if you need one, you're not going to know how to go about, you're not going to have a network. You're not going to know how to be competitive in the marketplace. Your comfort zone in this new job market is where your ambitions and your dreams go to die. It is where you go to lie to yourself about why you are not advancing financially and professionally. That's what your comfort zone really is. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but I have seen too many good people who could make a great contribution botch interviews, botch the process because they didn't send in a resume that really sold them. They didn't go in and sell themselves in the interview. Oh, I just don't feel comfortable selling myself. Nothing in this life happens until somebody sells something. So here are the steps for you to break free of your comfort zone. One, you must sell yourself, okay? I can't say that enough in a 1 minute period of time. Nothing in this life happens unless somebody sells something. And that's just the way it is. So you're going to have to get over it. This is something you can be coached through. Don't just say, oh, I really can't do it. No. If that's true, then you just need to prepare yourself for a lot of disappointment going forward in your career. If you're 5 years from retirement, okay, great. You're not going to really have to worry too much. But if you're in your 30s or 40s, you've got 20, 30 years of work ahead of you, and your career will take a beating unless you can get outside your comfort zone and learn how to sell yourself. So you really have to get over it. And so here's how you beat down that first hurdle. Second, you must understand your value. Most people struggle to describe themselves to recruiters because they've never gone through the value brand statement process. There is an old colleague of mine who's now retired. She years ago perfected the concept of your value proposition, and it really made a lot of sense. I've taken her work when she was still out there coaching and changed it and really perfected it and really focused now on the value brand statement. It is your strengths and your accomplishments and put together into a definitive statement that basically answers this question: why should I hire you? Okay, number 3, establish goals, ideal job and targeted income. Set reach goals. Don't be safe, be confident. If you don't set reach goals, you're never going to really get very high. You're never going to move up. You're never going to make more money. You're just going to be frustrated. 4, create a step-by-step plan for reaching your goals. Then measure your performance against these goals every quarter. It's really important. Yogi Berra once said, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else, okay? So that you have to plan where you're going, and you have to hold yourself accountable because you are the CEO of you, and you have to hold yourself accountable for what you're doing, okay? 5, build a strategic network. Networking 3.0, as I just talked to you earlier in this conversation. It's connecting with people who can help you achieve your goals. Not your friends that make you feel comfortable, but people who can actually help you. Now, these are not overly difficult steps, but if you need help, check out our online courses at johngself.com. The cost per course ranges from $29 to $189 with monthly payments for some of the programs that are slightly over $1,000. But nothing in our portfolio of courses is more than about $1,500, and we can spread that over 5 or 6 or 7 months. So check out those courses. Learn some tips on how to manage your career more effectively. Okay? Now, part 2, managing your career through a recession. And we've been hearing a lot of bad news lately. Unfortunately, one of the most reliable predictors of a recession for the last half century is now flashing red when it comes to the possibility of having a recession. Now, we talked about this morning in the Got a Minute, in our daily 60-second video blog on career management. It's available to sign up at johngself.com. It's free, and it comes every morning about 8 a.m. Now, if you missed this morning's Got a Minute, it is available on our website, johngself.com. It's available here on YouTube at John G. Self, and you can also find it on our company page on LinkedIn. Briefly recapping, the interest rate yields for short-term treasury bills and long-term Treasury notes. But the short-term Treasury bills, the 3-month, the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, they usually pay a lower rate of interest because their maturity rates are sooner, so you get your money back with your profit, your interest payments sooner. The 10-year Treasury note, which is designed to yield at a higher rate of interest based on the repayment horizon, that's understandable. So the longer you invest your money, the more interest you should be paid. When it becomes inverted, that is to say that the short-term rates exceed the 10-year rate, that's a bad sign. And that has been happening last week and it happened again yesterday. Now, a reliable predictor of recession, how reliable a predictor of recession is this particular indicator? Well, 100% over the last half century. So it's almost a dead bang certainty that we're going to have a recession, and with that recession will be layoffs. And the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, has said one of our goals is that we've got to reduce employment, we've got to drive down wages because that's fueling inflation. So it's time to prepare for a recession and the potential for layoffs. So here are the steps you must take. First, disabuse yourself of the notion that it cannot happen to me. During the Great Recession of 2009, caused by government regulators who conveniently looked the other way, and wildly unethical mortgage bankers abetted by the prostitutes of Wall Street, people I call the investment bankers, layoffs hammered working class jobs in a broad swath of careers, including white-collar jobs in banking, in finance, law, medicine, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, and in the services sector. Many of you on YouTube, you went through it or you saw your parents go through it. When the carnage was complete, you know what happened? They didn't send any of the bankers to jail. They passed some regulation, but that's getting watered down. What did they do? They do what they always do when the El Toro poo-poo hits the economic fan. They blame poor people and immigrants. I don't know how they do that or how they get away with that, but that's the way it always seems to work out. But there's another story for the midterm election. There's another story for the midterm election silliness. We can get into how economic policy has created some of these problems, but we're dealing with a global recession. This is not something that is happening only in the U.S. It's exacerbating the supply chain issues, but this is a global problem. England, Germany, France, across the globe, China, they're all facing economic challenges. So let's get back focused on how you can manage through the process. Step 2, get your financial house in order as soon as possible. Begin reprioritizing your monthly expenses. Now, if you don't need something right away, if you don't need a car or sewing machine or washing machine or refrigerator or new suit or that new dress or a new purse or whatever, if you don't need it right away, do not buy it right now. Begin boosting your savings in the event that you do lose your job. Now, financial advisors say that you need at least probably a 6-month reserve. As a former global executive recruiter, I can assure you that the average job search for an executive in good times is about 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months in good times. So, they say 6 months. If you can put a year aside, really sacrifice and save up to a year and put that in a holding pattern, that can serve you well if you get the pink slip. Step 3, understand your value. Now, don't ignore this step, please. I've seen too many people come into interviews and you ask them, tell me why we should hire you, or even better, tell us a little bit about yourself. And their default response is they start going through their resume. Hell, I got your resume. I don't need you to tell me what the resume says. I want you to tell me why I should hire you. I want you to tell me what value you're going to bring to the table. I want you to really zero in on with a compelling narrative so that my client says, this person's great. I get it. We need to talk to them very seriously. And my, recruiters want to look good to their clients. So as an applicant, make them look good. Okay? Don't go in and underestimate your value. You create the value statement, You create the value, that value statement, you get it really focused, and that will help you focus your resume, and it'll help you focus your answer to why should we hire you, tell us a little bit about yourself, that whole series of questions that essentially they're asking the same question. Okay? So if you can answer it effectively, that starts the interview off on the right foot. Step 4, update your resume and include your latest accomplishments. Use quantifiable examples whenever you can. Remember, that's really important. Remember that today there's no such thing as a generic one and done resume. You can submit generic resumes all day long and you will be crushingly it's a crushing ego downer, because you're not going to get contacted. You will need to revise or customize your resume to address the job description for each position you pursue. So so you have to customize. So you want to have a value brand statement. You want a really focused professional summary. You want all of your jobs to include. You want your jobs to include your quantifiable achievements. You want to be able to address all the specifics of the job description. All right, it's just so important now, because companies, they're hiring expenses, but really what they're trying to do is that they are really trying to hire value. They want somebody who can come in and deliver effectively for the company. And if you get a pink slip, the first thing you want to begin doing is looking for names of people you can talk to be a reference, okay? Don't wait till you get a pink slip. So have some people in mind. You don't necessarily have to reach out to them, but get a list of people that you would like to use as references. If you're a senior executive, you may go through 5 or 6 or 7 searches, so you want a couple of different panels so you're not using the same people over and over again. The research shows that references that get contacted a lot start suffering from what is called reference fatigue, and they don't necessarily, after the 4th or 5th time, they don't give you the same kind of stunning reference that you might like. It's not that they're trying to hurt you. It's just they get, like anything else, they get tired of answering the same questions over again, and deep down they're thinking, what is wrong with this bozo? Why can't they get a job? So have several people so you can spread the fun out. Now, when you start recruiting these people, you want to be sure that you are asking them these kinds of questions. Tell me, what did you really like about me at working for you? What were my strengths? What were the areas where I need to improve? That's important to ask. And you say, look, this is really important that I make this a learning experience. And so you may say something, but don't worry about hurting my feelings, because what's really important here is me improving my value as a candidate, as a job applicant, so I can grow. The information they give you, their weaknesses, strengths, what they wish you would change, what they liked about you, your style, that sort of thing. They're going to give you valuable information. When they talk about weaknesses, that gives you a chance to really think in advance, because you're going to get asked that question, what you want to say. It's not impressive when you ask an applicant, tell me about your weaknesses, and they go, well, I work too much. Oh, please. That's so lame, and that can get you eliminated, to be perfectly honest. So these people can give you insight to help you prepare answers for those tough questions that you may get in a job interview. It's going to help you become a better applicant, okay? Step 5, implement networking 3.0. Again, this means that you're going to pick people, not your friends necessarily. You're going to pick people who can help you find that next better job with the companies that you've targeted as possible employers. And you need somebody who knows people in those organizations and that can help you open the side door and get an introduction with the hiring manager. This is so important because of automation and candidate sourcing and automation and candidate screening. People refer to those applicant tracking systems as applicant tossing systems. So it's really, really tough for you to do well in the process if you're not focused, and if you don't have people that are going to go in and say, you need to talk to Jack, you need to talk to Susie, I've known them for a while, I've seen their work, they're really impressive. Now, you still may have to submit a resume online, and it needs to be customized, because you wouldn't want to go to all that effort to build a connection and then get wiped out because you just sent a generic resume. Don't let all that great effort go to waste. Okay, so that concludes the sort of things have been thinking about for today. I hope it's been helpful. There are a couple of questions here that I'll answer that have come in earlier. What's the proper length of resume? It should be commensurate with your experience, number of years of experience, and your quantifiable achievements. If you've had 5 or 6 jobs over a 10 or 15 year period, 2.5, 3 pages is perfectly okay. If you're a new college graduate, 1 page can suffice. If you're a new college graduate but you've had several jobs before you got your degree, you need to don't not include those jobs, and don't not include that information, because that could be the difference in you getting hired or not. It may be the difference from them deciding whether they're going to interview you or not. So don't discount. If you don't have much experience, but you've been a really good babysitter, or you were a really good lifeguard, or you're a really good camp counselor, talk to people that you've done work for and find out what they liked about you, and talk about how you've learned the importance of dependability, and learn the importance of being at work on time, and learn the importance of how it is to give good customer service. They may be, you were a retail salesperson in a bookstore or camp counselor, whatever that is. You still had responsibilities, and you still did some good things, and you need to brag about them. You need to get outside your comfort zone and talk about them. So, even a 1 page is fine if you're a new graduate. 2 to 3 pages, not out of the question. Now, a resume and a curriculum vitae are not the same thing, so don't use those terms interchangeably. A CV is really more for an academic position, and it really focuses in great detail about your research, your papers. It's less focused on your accomplishments and dates of employment. It'll have that in there, but it's more emphasizing your academic achievements. Do not use a functional resume. You can if you're changing careers, but sometimes if you use a functional resume, the first thing the recruiters think about is, what are they trying to cover up here? Because that's a common resume style if you've had short tenures, or you have some gaps in employment. So use a chronological interview resume. And listen, don't hesitate if you're submitting online to submit a plain text resume, because the computer doesn't care. If they like it, if you get a high score, and they call you and say, yeah, we want to talk to you. Can we set up when they finish, you get all the details worked out. Say, look, I just finished updating my format for my resume for interviews. Can I send you a copy? Very often they're going to say, almost always they're going to say, sure, please. Now you're going to have their resume. You're going to have their email address, And if you use video emails, which I strongly encourage you to do, BombBomb, SendSpark, those are 2 names that come to mind. You can now then follow up after you submit the resumes, follow up with another email that's a video email, because now they know what you look like and your personality, and they have your resume. And there are not going to be too many applicants that use those video emails. They're very common in some industries, but you don't see it very often in job search. What a great way to differentiate yourself. Okay, almost running out of time. Let's see if there's anything else here. How should I dress for a virtual interview? Well, it better to be overdressed than underdressed. Couple of things that I can tell you based on a lot of experience. Number one, look, whatever you wear, look good from the waist up or chest up. If you're doing a Zoom interview, and be sure that if you're using your laptop, it's not going to fall on the floor and show you're wearing your shorts or your underwear. God forbid. That's happened. I've seen that happen before. But if it's, you can ask the recruiter when they say, well, we'd like for you to come do a Zoom interview. Just say, great, confirm the time. Now, I have a couple of questions. What is the attire for this company? What's the standard? Because you want to be sure you go with the standard. If they tell you coat and tie, great, wear a coat and tie. If they just say, business casual, don't emphasize the casual, emphasize the business, all right? Don't look really too casual. And if you are going to the side interview, unless they tell you not to wear a coat and tie, wear one. It's better safe to be than sorry. The only time I was ever told not to wear a coat and tie was when I was working on a big search project in Hawaii, and they said the only people out here that wear coats and ties are lawyers in court. And I felt I wore a patterned shirt and slacks, and I felt naked because I'd never gone to a client site without wearing a coat and tie before. So it was an interesting experience. But dress appropriately, ask questions. Okay, and always have questions about the organizations, its culture, next steps. Have several questions you ask. Don't ever be in a position to say, "Do you have any questions?" You go, "Nope, I'm good." That's a bad sign. The client, the prospective employer, thinks that you're blowing them off. Okay, we're out of time today. Hope to see you next Thursday at 3:30 in the afternoon. We'll give you a little bit more promotion, and hopefully my nose won't be itching as much. Thank you so much for watching today. Come back to my studio next Thursday, 3:30 Central Time, and watch for our post. Got a Minute every morning at 8 o'clock. It's distributed by YouTube, or you can see it on my webpage at johnGself.com. Thanks so much again. Talk to you soon.